Would Aussie have won that one if the series had have been on the line? Were the Lions partying all week, or did they just play like they kind of might have been a little bit?
I mean, the preparation for the Wallabies was nowhere near good enough.
No, selections are questionable as well.
Well, they should have had far more stake. Why couldn't there be some sort of Bledisloe match in the lead-up?
I think we all start saying our Hail Marys. Roigard, please be back for South Africa.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Marty Sermons, brought to you by WebWonks. Generate online leads with WebWonks. Doctors for your Google data.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Well played, Australia. Good on you, Aussie. Deserved winners of the third and final Lions test. So many questions persist, though. Would Aussie have won that one if the series had have been on the line? Were the Lions partying all week, or did they just play like they kind of might have been a little bit? Was that a great coming-of-age Wallabies performance, or did the Lions button off knowing that the job had already been done? See, I don't believe international rugby players ever go out into the test arena and don't try their very best to win. I just don't think it happens. The physical dangers of playing half-assed, of not being fully committed, even the fact that it would look so obvious. So I don't buy into this Lions weren't really into it BS narrative. They turned up to win, all right. Absolutely they did. But were the Wallabies more motivated? Because sometimes that can create a significant edge, what they call who wants it more. They certainly needed the win more than the Lions did. Australia were really good in Sydney. Compared to that limp first 30 minutes of the first test in Brisbane when the series was effectively decided, this third test version of Joe Schmidt's team, they can play all right. They deserve to be taken seriously. Play like that in the Bledisloe Cup tests are going to be belters. Play like that for the full 80 minutes with Valentini back, and who knows, they might even scare the Saffers. Some great stats have come out at the end of the series. The metrics don't lie, remember? Well, they kind of do. They tell you what you want to hear depending on how you want to interpret them. But how about this? Australia won 4 of the 6 halves played across 3 tests, yet lost the series. Australia led for the whole of the third test and for 79 minutes 20 seconds of the second, lost the series. With Will Skelton off the field, the Lions won 39-22. With him on the field, the Wallabies won 38-24. Get that? So it's BS before Skelton and AS after Skelton. Can any one player make such a difference? Well, what do those numbers tell us? And finally, the Lions outscored the Wallabies 68-67 across the 3 tests. Now, that last one, for me, makes it sound like it was a desperately close series, but it wasn't. The Lions owned the first test, no contest about that, no argument. Aussie came back really well in the second, but let's not rose-tint specs this. Australia also blew a 23-5 lead. From that point, they lost that game 25-3. The whole second half felt like, for me, waiting for the Lions to win. My point being, the right team won this series, no question. For all the encouraging signs Australia can claim, they were also well beaten. Well beaten at times, beaten fair, and almost square. Yes, the Jack Morgan clean-out will always be talked about. Did it cost them the series? Well, it certainly lost them the series. If it was 1-1 going into Sydney, would the Lions have been as subdued as they were on Saturday night? All things we can continue to argue about, which is so cool, isn't it? That's the great thing about the end of a series. We'll be talking about it for, well, until the Springbok All Black series starts. Here's what I do know. The Lions deserved to win the series. The Wallabies absolutely deserved to win in Sydney.
Devlin. The Tide 5.
It's Tide 5 time, Lachlan. 5 questions all about the Wallabies versus Lions series. And then we're going to tag in a 6th issue to talk about. TJ will be all over this as well, and his coverage of the All Blacks being announced. But this whole no Roigard, no Hotham. And I think it is a crisis that the All Blacks have right now at halfback going to Argentina. And good Lord, please bring back Roigard for us before we play South Africa. Talking about in terms of the Lions, did they deserve to win that series? What does the win mean for the Wallabies in Sydney? Who is the best player out of the 3 tests? The biggest moment in the whole series? Would either of these teams beat the All Blacks and then onto the halfback?
The Tide 5.
Yes, you've already told us that.
Yes!
Did the Lions deserve to win the series?
Yes, for sure.
No question.
They won 2 of the 3 tests.
Yeah.
They'd won the series with a test to spare. The performance for the third test may have been different had the Wallabies ended up winning the second test or even managed to win the first one.
It's one of them hypothetical things. You don't know, but I just think most of us assume that because there would have been more motivation for the Lions to win that.
Well, of course.
Does it actually then alter your perspective of how good or not this Lions team was compared to other Lions sides that they didn't go through and beat what was essentially a pretty average Australian outfit to start with 3-0? Like they should have.
It was an average Australian outfit based on two things. The first being their performance in the first test, which was poor. However, that could be attributed to a very average run-in. I mean, the preparation for the Wallabies was nowhere near good enough.
No, selections are questionable as well.
Well, they should have had far more stake. Why couldn't there be some sort of Bledisloe match in the lead-up? Why couldn't
they
straight
play
after
New Zealand
Super
Marty?
Rugby?
Why didn't they play there? Why didn't they get a fixture like that organised?
I mean, no disrespect to Fiji, who obviously on their day are very tough to beat, but that's not a stern challenge in the lead-up to what will be a very tough
I think
Lions
these
series.
questions have got to go to Joe Schmidt. Like, I mean, you just weren't organised.
How much power does he have when it comes to the fixtures?
Well, he's certainly got power to get all of those players and keep them corralled in coaching camp and not let them play. You know, and those guys not having a run in the provincial games or the Super Rugby games before the first test, that comes back down to him, doesn't it?
Yeah, probably does.
Okay, we agree. The Lions deserve to win that series, no question.
Yeah. Well,
what does it mean, though, the Wallabies winning the third test?
Well, it's hard to say because it was a dead rubber. Now, every test match in rugby, in my opinion, matters. It's not like State of Origin where the third match doesn't really matter because every player has a bigger goal of the NRL Premiership, whereas in rugby union, the pinnacle of rugby outside of a World Cup
There you go.
or a Lions series, I guess, is test matches,
Yep.
right? Mm-hmm. And then the opposition that you're playing. So, no, any test match is vital, and for the Wallabies, given the green shoots that appeared in that second test, the third one was obviously very important.
Yep.
And the fact they led the whole time, and the fact that they were a much more calm, cohesive outfit. It felt in very disgusting
they were
conditions.
composed. They were better in the conditions.
Yeah.
And even when the Lions threatened at the end of that game, where you thought, oh, maybe they might bend a little. Tate McDermott, no, he scored that really crucial try. In fact, he should have been playing 9 the whole bloody series. I mean, no, I don't know why he wasn't selected to play 9. He's been their best halfback in Super Rugby. So
it was a bit of a swan song for Nick White in this test, wasn't it? Because
this-
it's his
I don't
last
buy
test or
into
his
swan
last
songs.
one's coming up.
I buy
so
into wins.
That was a little bit strange.
Yeah, but no, look, I think that they can take a hell of a lot out of that third test simply because if they'd lost the third test, it would have been a complete disaster, right?
Yes, I mean, if you get swept, it's particularly when you're playing a team that's already won the series, who I doubt would have prepared for the third test the way they prepared for the second and the first. So, of course. But it means nothing unless the Wallabies can kind of make it count. Now, that comes down to the coaching and the players backing up and performing well against South Africa on the road, which is going to be very, very tough. So,
who was the best and most influential player across the series? Now,
the whole series or for the
whole series?
The Lions, Ty Byrne plays for Ireland, who I think is a lock but plays a bit of blindside.
He was brilliant.
He was awesome.
Tom Curry was excellent. Right,
Tom Curry was great.
Atoje always. I mean, he's probably the best lock in the world, Maro Atoje. And so I also thought that the big prop, Furlong.
Tyke Furlong. Yeah.
Brilliant. However, the best stat to come out of this series, as I said at the start of the show, is the BSAS, before Skelton and after Skelton. And when you put those numbers together, 39-22, the Wallabies lost without him on the field. With him on the field, they won 38-24 for the minimal minutes he had. Remember, he only played just over half in the first test.
80 of those minutes, though, weren't that important to the Lions. So I don't know how much that really means.
Well, he made a huge difference.
He did, but I think if let's say I don't know. Let's say there was something riding on that third match. It's a bit of a different story. I don't think the Lions lose that third one, or at least they don't trail for the entire game and actually don't look second best. Like the Wallabies were the better side on Saturday, without a doubt.
No question about it. Moment of the series. What defines the tour? Is it that?
The end of the second test, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
This will be talked about
without a doubt
in Lions tours forever. It will go down like it's not at the top of the list as the 99 call in 1974. A legendary moment in international rugby, right? As soon as you hear the 99 call, you just smack the guy next to you. And so it's gone down in folklore. But in terms of top 10 moments in Lions series, this one will be alongside the O'Driscoll diving out of the line out onto his head thing. Okay?
Every series actually has something attached to it, doesn't it?
Normally. Or the Gatlin red nose.
Yeah. But also the third test and the debacle at the end of that one with the draw. There was also the eye gouging of Skulk Berger against the Lions in 2009, which is pretty gross.
Okay, and then you've got the Matt Dawson and Graham Henry not talking to each other thing. And so look, there's always
George North carrying Folau on his back in 2013.
There's always something, isn't there? But that moment at the end of the game, which a week later I still think is a try. I haven't changed my mind on that because the referee awarded a try. I'm quite happy.
I was talking to a friend who you know rather well as well on the weekend, and he said that every intelligent, decent, long-suffering rugby fan in Australia is also, all of them are saying the same thing, and it is that it's a try, blah, blah, blah. It's the bandwagoners who are calling out saying that it shouldn't be a try and you've ruined the series. So,
Moment of the series. Would either of these teams, over the 3 tests, beat the All Blacks with us at full strength? Beat us in a one-off test?
us at full strength?
Yeah.
In a one-off or a series?
Just in a one-off test.
The Wallabies wouldn't, no. But are the Wallabies at their best? Have they got their tails up?
Don't know.
Well, if the All Blacks are at their best, I can only assume that the Wallabies will be at their best as well. That's only fair if we're talking about a hypothetical situation.
We won't know until we play Argentina and
Let's
they play
assume
South
that
Africa.
both are at their best. The All Blacks win, but the Wallabies have points in them, so would win that like 40
I also
to 20
think
or
the All
something.
Blacks contest differently than the Wallabies against the Lions. Especially, we would never go out there and soft it like they did in that first test. We'd never get rolled over like that.
No, we've got the physical cattle, but we've got the physical depth. Like the Wallabies weren't, as soon as you bring Valentini and Skelton to the team, they weren't physically a whole lot. Well, no, actually, no, they were. They were a lot better, particularly the breakdown of the contact areas. We don't rely on just 2 guys. We have a lot of guys that can do that. We just tend to struggle when we play like
Final topic then, and this is the scary one.
Yes!
No Roygaard versus Argentina, and no Hotham. So now we're down to 3, 4, and 5 in terms of our halfback.
Well, if we take 3.
If we take 3. So at the moment, you've got Ratima. They're going to bring back Christie. And look, I sigh when I say that because the guy is not international class. And no disrespect, but in terms of an All Black jersey on that back playing against South Africa, we're in big trouble.
Well, the last head coach rated him, and you rated the last head coach.
I did, true that. But I think Christie's stocks have gone way down.
Well, they've gone down because Roygaard is far and away the best halfback.
You watch
and
him in
also
Super Rugby, he makes
Hotham is very
zero
good
impact as well. So
this is the problem we have now is a problem that we had pre-Aaron Smith, and for the last part of Aaron Smith, we were lucky for the most part of Aaron Smith, if that all makes sense, that we had TJ Perenara. Pre-TJ Perenara, we had Byron Callagher, who was our next best. Yeah, for about 3 or 4 years, we cycled through Piti Wepu, Jimmy Cowan, and Andy Ellis, who all 3 of them good Super Rugby players. Yeah. And Piti Wepu, the peak of his career just came at the right time during the World Cup, essentially.
Yeah, brilliant.
And then after TJ Perenara, we had Aaron Smith, and then who was our next best?
Yeah,
it was before Roygaard. There was this period
it was meant
of 2
to
or
be
3 years.
Fakatava, wasn't it? But he kind of dropped off as well.
Well, because he got injured, and then they just didn't pick him
But the
again.
biggest gap in New Zealand rugby is the gap between Roygaard and the next guy. That's the biggest gap in any position in New Zealand rugby right now.
Hooker, Cody Taylor,
Well,
Tokiaho?
I still think Tokiaho is I think Tokiaho in terms of the next best halfback is actually a bit higher up the rung in the
Well, if
hooker
everyone's
department.
healthy, I think Hotham's pretty good.
I think we all start saying our Hail Marys. Roygaard, please be back for South Africa. If you believe in that kind of stuff, I'm a Catholic.
I
do.
hate the sound of a stress fracture when we've got just over it, like a month and 2 days until that first South African test. Stress fracture, South African test.
Yeah, what do you got to worry about, Wallabies? You got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
This is the DSPN.